Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Using the Digital Twin to Tackle Today's Manufacturing Challenges. My name is Rachel Holmes, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Before we get started today, I have a few housekeeping items I'd like to go over. Everyone attending the session today is in listen-only mode, but we'd love to hear from you through the questions box in your control panel or by tweeting us at Vertex VIS. We'll be answering your questions at the end of the webinar today. Joining me, I have Vertex Product Marketing Manager John Heller and C5MI Senior Supply Chain Manager Alan Whittoon. John's extensive experience in mechanical engineering, supplier collaboration, cross-functional relationship building, and procurement activities gives him insight into optimal ways to bridge the gap between engineering, procurement, and the supply chain. As product marketer for Vertex, John understands and communicates pain points and opportunities in manufacturing organizations. Alan is a Senior Supply Chain Manager at C5MI, an Industry 4.0 manufacturing and supply chain consulting and technology deployment practice. Alan has nearly 15 years of experience in advancing roles in supply chain and manufacturing leadership, and Alan believes in remaining grounded in process excellence as the foundational element of any successful technology adoption journey. And with that, I'm going to pass it over to John and Alan. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Rachel. Thanks for that introduction. It's always a little weird to hear somebody talk about you, and so appreciate that. And before I go ahead and get started, I think it was 18 months ago, I remember seeing the first demo of the Vertex software, and the nerd in me came out, and I'm just super excited that you guys invited me to participate in the webinar, and I look forward to the conversations and dialogue. And as Rachel alluded to, please just feel free to enter your comments into the chat, and we'll hopefully spend a majority of our time today answering those. So we do have about a 10-15 minutes worth of slides and videos to show, and I'll go ahead and get us kicked off. So what is the digital twin? And as you can see by the Gardner definition, the digital twin can seem a little bit nebulous, and sometimes it's hard to understand how it can be practically applied. But in essence, it's a digital representation that mirrors the physical object, process, or person, and it's really the ability to aggregate multiple twins over each other to view the complete physical world. And where did this whole concept of digital twin come from? But as we go to the next slide, you'll see NASA actually started back in 1930 with Apollo 13. Now, they didn't call it the digital twin, but they did start representing the physical world in drawings and CAD, and that's where the things kind of started to evolve. But the formal definition actually came from in 2002. Michael Greaves, University of Michigan professor, kind of coined the term digital twin. And really after 2002, when it was coined, is where we saw the commercialization of the digital twin in oil and gas. And if you think about oil and gas, asset heavy, every minute of uptime, OEE, has a great impact in the financial performance. So it's kind of where we've seen this digital twin concept come to life and be commercialized. Then as it advanced, things like jet engine, wind turbines, rail engines, medical devices, so critical and complex components, really around safety, really around uptime, but those industries in aerospace and alternative energy then became additional early adopters of the digital twin throughout their supply chain and manufacturing processes. And now where we're at with, I think, Industry 4.0 is this broader adoption and implementation into manufacturing companies. And that's in all forms of the plant, the process, the product. And it kind of evolved, and that's where we take it into the earlier definition and kind of want to break it into something a little bit more palatable and practical for the audience today. So really, when I look at digital twins and the breakdown, visualization of plant, process, or product, which I touched on earlier, the integration of data to bring the visualization to life, and then when you take these things and put them together, you can deliver the things that we've all heard in the industry of the digital thread, the digital supply chain, connected factory. But I do want to take a minute and just break down the first two in a little bit more detail. in most cases, in most manufacturing cases, taking the physical environment, piece of equipment, or entire factory and digitizing that environment so it can be accessed with ease from anywhere. And then I did talk about it on the earlier slide, but really the integrated data from connected switches, IoT devices, through ERPs, PLM systems, and various other data sources gets you that digital twin. And I think John moved to the benefits slide. And from C5MI as a company, when we've seen this evolve over the years inside of the manufacturing and supply chain space, John and I could probably take the next 50 minutes and go through all the benefits of the digital twin. But I did want to take a minute as we're getting introduced to how we would define digital twin and kind of break apart some of those major components and benefits that we've seen actually be applied and realized in business value with our clients. The first one, maintenance. This is a no-brainer. This is the OEE uptime that the oil and gas industry had realized early on. But it's really taking the fixes fail mentality and cumbersome PM plans and really moving to condition-based monitoring and predictive analytics with the use of digital twin. So instead of waiting till something failed on the shop floor, using those connected sensors and switches and integrating it to your performance indicators and really getting ahead of those fixes fail opportunities inside of the maintenance of the manufacturing facility. We'll talk a little bit about shop floor visualization, and this is operator work instructions, materials, and machines, but it also plays into that maintenance worker. So when they're approaching that machine to fix it, what types of tools and technology do they have to understand what the problem is? Are they pulling up PDFs from a cabinet? Are they Googling to find the operator's manual? But the digital twin connected with that system allows them not only to work the work order and process it through their ERP system, but it allows them to visualize what's actually happening inside of that equipment and help them better perform their tasks as maintenance employees. We've seen it with operator work instructions. So you'll see later in the Vertex software solution, but a picture's worth 1,000 words. And when you can take operator work instructions and move them away from, pieces of paper or even, on a computer screen words and put them into pictures and videos and show them how these things go together, you'll see, we've seen our clients have tremendous value and seen tremendous value in operator work instructions being realized through the digital twin. I talked about the machine, so going up to a machine and visually being able to see what's happening inside of that. And we'll talk a little bit about a product we have, but in terms of mirroring that physical floor in terms of materials. So where are your materials at physically? You have the transactional data from your ERP systems, but where are fork trucks moving? Where's the traffic flow? Where are the containers at in your warehouse operations? And it's really taking the digital twin and visualizing the shop floor and bringing the shop floor to life. The end-to-end customer impact of service and warranty, when you put a digital twin around the product and that digital twin stays with it throughout its life cycle. And I'm going to let John talk a little bit more about the customer piece around service and warranty. Yeah, go ahead, John.
Nope, go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna clear this one and then we can get into that. But operational execution, and this is the real-time performance visibility. So mirroring the physical world digitally, so you can compare it to your plan. And these are the layers of information that we have. You have your plan, you have your transactional data, and then you have your physical world on top of that. And one of the best examples I can use is the end of shift report on your shop floor operations. So, why wait to the end of the shift to figure out what happened? This digital twin concept of visualizing the shop floor and your performance against your plan creates those minute-to-minute insights for your shift operators, your shift team leaders, all the way up to the top floor of your operations to see visibility and see where issues are going to happen early on, whether that's quality defects in a certain zone spiking, whether that's work orders for material picks and deliveries above your planned operational capacity with manpower. You know, whether that's the tack time in certain zones due to absenteeism, early visibility to those things instead of waiting for end of shift reports is one of the real ones that we've seen come in and be practically applied to the manufacturing space. We've talked about the cross communications between PLM, ERP, and MES and various other shop floor systems. And, you know, that's one of the reasons why I geeked out when I saw the first Vertex demo. And, you know, this is where that software comes into place, is connecting those pieces. Now, we've also seen, I've talked about the plan to the actual. So in ERP, you have your transactional data, but what physically happened is that digital twin representation of the shop floor. And we kind of have a phrase, it was actually one of the things that C5MI was founded on, but it's the common operational picture. And this whole digital twin thing that we're talking about today, it's this concept that regardless of where you're at in the world, what type of device you have in front of you, your iPhone, your Android, your tablet, your desktop, and whatever level of the organization you're in, all the way from the shop floor to the top floor, you will have visibility to what's happening in your operations. And this is the one that we've seen the most value from. And you know, as we go through, and I said I could probably talk for the rest of the time about the benefits of digital twin, but I am gonna turn it over to John to give him an opportunity to touch on a few other things.
Yeah, absolutely, Alan. Thank you, and appreciate you taking some time to join Vertex today and discussing the digital twin and more importantly, how to make it applicable. I think, you know, I'd be curious to know what your thoughts are as you work with clients within your circles here. But oftentimes, individuals, when you just say digital twin, immediately, you know, there's like a tense up or a little bit of fear about, oh my goodness, that sounds like a huge initiative. Certainly a little bit of apprehension about it. People generally tend to think of, you know, entire enterprise overhauls when they start taking on certain aspects of the digital twin. And I think you've done a really good job laying out here some groundwork to help individuals understand that you don't have to conquer the entire world all in one sitting. There's very practical ways for individuals and companies to begin shifting their mindset towards thinking about digital twin, towards understanding what are some of the benefits that personally within my workflows, within a functional area or a team workflow, and then as we think about an operational workflow, and really understanding that certainly in times like these that we're in right now, where there's a heavier reliance on technology, not as much face-to-face, not as much walking things around, traveling to sit in a conference room full of people to discuss things, being able to connect that digital thread, to be able to use the digital twin, to be able to connect companies, people's customers, supply chains, manufacturing organizations, is ever more important. And what I don't want our viewing audience today to walk away with is that it's a big investment right out of the gate. There's very practical ways that we can take small steps to begin that journey, to help companies that are partway in that journey or even late stage in that journey to shore up sort of last mile initiatives in here. One of the bullet points here that we haven't really touched on is customers. And as we think about the business environment that we live in right now, many companies are really struggling with business continuity. How do I maintain connection across departments that are now perhaps disparate? They're in separate locations, some are home. You've got organizations that even though they might be coming back into the office are still segregated, so to speak. And then additionally, when you think about customers and maintaining those open lines of communication with customers and and continuing to provide world-class service to your customer base, both in troubleshooting, in new business. There becomes challenges that we see, particularly in this time that we're in right now, about maintaining business continuity, maintaining that level of engagement with your customers, and providing that service and that warranty level access that was previously there. And so we see real positive ways that the digital twin can help with that. And so we'll just walk through a couple of examples here, particularly as we think about manufacturing and trying to demystify a little bit how the digital twin can be moved throughout the organization in not these large, overwhelming steps, but in these practical ways of just simply connecting visuals with your data. And so, you know, as we all know, and as Alan mentioned, you know, a picture is worth 1,000 words, and really being able to visualize, have everyone centered on an image, so to speak, where there's clarity that can be tied to the data that supports it, is ever increasing important. But the challenge that we have seen, and I'm sure Alan can attest to this, is that getting that data out of engineering becomes extremely difficult to do. And so there's that very basic step of just understanding how is it that we can get that visual representation, that 3D product data out of engineering and out into the other environments within the enterprise, out into other workflows. And as you alluded to, Alan, in a few slides ago, really being able to connect your ERP systems, your MES systems, your industrial IoT systems all into one central area where you can view that data in context with the visuals. And certainly that's a very basic step in being able to get the digital twin out, is being able to use it as a pulling together of all of the data that's tied to that visual. And certainly we can see that if an organization now is able to free, let's just say, the 3D product data of an entire factory layout and workstation, and you're able to connect it now to your sources of data, what kind of decisions can be made? What advancements can be realized in a much quicker way when you have that? Additionally, the digital twin, when we think about it in the context of manufacturing, in a very basic and easy way, can be used once it's freed out into the organization, so to speak, is to be able to gain insights to what's actually happening as product moves through your manufacturing organization. So we know that obviously a number one priority for many manufacturing organizations is quality, first pass yield, for example, of getting something through an assembly line, and being able to see things in real time as they're coming through, being able to connect your visuals to what you're seeing from a digital twin standpoint to what you're actually seeing happening on the assembly line, being able to mark it accordingly if there's a quality or defect, and then being able to get that to the appropriate individuals is certainly a powerful way that the digital twin can be used. Additionally, and I would say traditionally, most of the what we would say GD&T information and PMI information has traditionally been obviously something that is instigated from an engineering side, and then kept on a lot of their big machines tied to the 3D information. And during the course of a product development, or during the course of a different manufacturing initiative, there's information that is often requested from manufacturing to see, you know, what are the PMI, what are the GD&T implications for this design, so that we can easily make adjustments where we need it to. And that again is where the digital twin can come in and provide a very impactful avenue to be able to see that and to be able to act and make the proper decisions. Certainly, when you think about putting in a new assembly line or creating a brand new factory layout, having a digital twin available to be able to view as that is moving through its development can certainly provide many advancements in being able to set up operational efficiencies and workflows and assemblies. We think about ergonomics, being able to dive into a digital twin of the factory floor so that you can optimize it for the safety of your employees and your manufacturing professionals is also a very impactful way that the digital twin can be used. When we think about service and quality, again, the ability to be able to deliver digital twins out to service teams instead of asking them to rifle through multiple pages in a service manual or trying to understand when somebody brings in a part what that part is. Perhaps, we've heard of many examples where there's been an over ordering of parts just to ensure that they've got everything that's needed because there was still some ambiguity as to what the part actually was, how it was denoted in the bill of material, what did it look like was it like an as-built configuration so that we can make sure that parts are fixed and up and running in an acceptable amount of time. The digital twin is a game changer when we think about that, connecting again the visuals to the bill of material within your service bombs and being able to act quickly and responsively in that nature. Being able to connect field service to engineering is another way a digital twin could be used within your service teams to be able to quickly respond to field issues. Obviously, uptime is of utmost importance. I live in Iowa, and I know a lot of my farmer friends, a machine breaks down in the field, a service tech is sent. Each minute, each hour that you waste trying to diagnose the problem and get the part ordered is money lost, perhaps. And so, again, a very practical way of being able to facilitate the digital twin through your service departments and connecting that to data and what you're seeing in the field. So now, Alan, I know more specifically some things related to that with C5 in mind.
Yeah, thank you. And I think as you look at Vertex and C5MI and the digital twin, and obviously the solution with Vertex you'll see here in a little bit is around the product and having that available. And at C5MI, we've taken the digital twin and taken that product digital twin, but we've also been extremely successful in illuminating and providing the insights of the plant and process. So those other two aspects of the digital twin. One of those things we like to call is we have a product called Live Factory, and it's connecting the enterprise from your shop floor to your top floor. It's providing those actionable insights in that common operational picture that I alluded to earlier. And really, it's a suite of solutions that kind of can transform your professional lives, just like the iPhone has transformed our personal lives. Why don't we have the same access to information in our business world and manufacturing that we have on our smart devices? So, line of sight to instantaneous and in the moment data about manufacturing results. So your teams, your operators, all the way through your leadership can make and take actionable, timely actionable decisions to impact your performance on the shop floor. So that's really about Live Factory and the ability to give those insights from the shop floor to the top floor. We also have a product called Illuminate, which is part of our real-time location systems. And there's a couple, depends on the technology stack that we use, but really enabling Bluetooth and UWB technology to illuminate the factory. And this is what I alluded to earlier about the illumination of your physical environment. So where are all my fork trucks? Where's my heavy traffic? Why can't I click on a factory map and search a part number and see where those things are physically at? And depends on what is applied in the manufacturing space, but we've seen our clients get anywhere from feet within inches, depends on what's used. And this is one of the most beneficial uses of a a plant-wide digital twin and illuminating what's physically happening on the shop floor. And one of the first benefits I talked about was in the maintenance area, and I'm not going to go through our digital reliability center maintenance in detail, but we're instead going to take a minute here and watch a 2-minute video of what that is and what we do here at C5MI.
Revolutionize your processes with digital reliability centered maintenance. Every organization believes its production methodology is unique. While underlying details may be different, all manufacturing organizations face similar maintenance asset challenges. Siloed information leads to incoherent data and lacks a single version of the truth. This generally accepted run-to-failure approach only addresses immediate impact, resulting in increased maintenance cost and volatility. Without a proactive maintenance approach, equipment breaks down without warning, leading to unplanned downtimes. This can result in increased operational cost and quality defects, ending in low yield and throughput. The C5MI DRCM solution architecture and implementation methodology, blended with accelerators, will address these challenges and drive transformation across the asset maintenance lifecycle. Our best practices in equipment hierarchy definition plays a vital role in driving transformation across the plant maintenance ecosystem. DRCM brings together equipment-related information and all stakeholders. This establishes a collaborative, single version of the truth as the asset common operational picture. Our expertise in accelerators in risk and criticality, as well as failure modes and effects analysis, will help drive a lean maintenance strategy across any manufacturing enterprise. Expertise in equipment hierarchy, coupled with our robust CBM template, will set the stage for asset digital twin, condition-based monitoring, and predictive maintenance. Using the mobile-enabled DRCM solution will deliver increased worker efficiency and data accuracy. C5MI experts are trusted business practitioners with decades of experience managing plant maintenance systems, shop floor operations, and manufacturing supply chains for Fortune 100 organizations across the globe. We architected DRCM with a futuristic vision of aligning organizations to the Maintenance 4.0 roadmap by merging people, process, and technology. Let us bring your manufacturing maintenance execution into the next century and beyond.
I just always like seeing that video. And before I turn it over to John, we do, if you visit our website, c5mi.com, there's multiple videos on Live Factory as well as the Illuminate product. But yeah, we've seen one of the major use cases for the digital twin has been in our DMC offering. And so I just wanted to show that video today. So thank you.
Great. Thanks, Alan. There we go. All right. So yeah, when we think about the digital twin, and certainly as Alan can attest to it, you know, one of the big barriers that we see is getting that information from engineering out into the organization. So when we think about sort of the Vertex solution in this, we have to first address sort of what is it and how is it different than other solutions in the market that are claiming to provide digital twins for your enterprise organization. Some of the things that I'd just like to highlight here, first of all, is that from a barrier of getting data out, we see that hardware, software limitations creep up here. Additionally, many organizations, when it comes to getting digital twin out to other parts of the enterprise, have to go through a lot of heavy data prep in order to be able to either strip it down, reduce it in file size, put it in a different file format that is consumable and easy to transfer to other departments. The other challenge that we see within this industry as well is the inability to be able to provide scale. And so, you know, an organization or a group might have to decimate a model down, and then when it comes time to adding additional information into that or needing to upscale in a certain way, there becomes challenges with access to that digital twin, as the model size grow, as well as being able to bring in additional collaborators into that digital twin as well. And so what Vertex has provided here is a 100% cloud-based solution that essentially runs off of rendering in the cloud, and I'll show you what that looks like here in a little bit, but eliminates all of the data transformation and heavy admin time that it takes to present data in a format that is consumable by your organization, while also providing infinite scalability and user access in a secure environment. And so I'll just step into just a real brief demo here of what that looks like. And so as you can see here on my screen, we've got the entrance into the Vertex platform, which again, I didn't show it here, but essentially as long as you're able to access web, we're a web-enabled browser login. Anywhere there's Wi-Fi, or if you're on your mobile, anywhere you've got cell data, you're able to access the Vertex platform. Once you're in the Vertex platform, getting data in is quite simple. You can simply hit this import button and you can pull in your 3D information off of your personal device or your desktop machine. We also provide APIs for you to be able to sync to your source of truth, whether it be your CAD system, your PLM system, and being able to provide that connection. One of the things that we take great care in, and as Alan and I have alluded to leading up to this, is that you don't want to create multiple systems of record that then you've got this orphan data. There's no way to tie it together, to keep it as all one picture as you're moving it through your organization. And certainly Vertex provides those ways to be able to do that. So when we think of a digital twin, as you can see here, I've been able, as you just saw, to very quickly pull up a full 3D model of a concept vehicle here. This digital twin, this representation of this supercar. And as I alluded to it earlier, you know, a barrier is in most organizations is the hardware limitations, the software limitations of being able to do that. And since Vertex is a 100% cloud-based solution, we essentially, when a model is loaded into the Vertex platform, we scatter it across multiple cloud servers. And then when you go to call up an image such as this, literally from any device, we render that image and stream it down to your device. And each time you interact with it, we're recompositing that image, rendering it, and streaming it down to your viewing device so that you're able to interact with it. This is what truly sets us apart in being able to offer digital twins throughout your organization, independent of device, independent of heavy and expensive software licensing, being able to access the full visuals that are tied as well to your bill of material, as you can see here, being able to offer that in with being able to interact with it. If I were just to select this here, this rear spoiler, you can see now obviously it's highlighting the appropriate spot on the bill of material. We're also able to, when we think about digital twin, the collaboration of the digital twin, being able to get that information out to your other resources. A common example could be perhaps a design review. So here we've got a design review, and this story was put together off of snapshots from that 3D image in the model viewer, and has been put together to step through various issues in a design review or in a product that denote areas that need to be resolved. Another common use of the digital twin and being able to get this out, let's say, to a customer, is if an organization then wanted to take this digital twin representation and break it down from a, let's say, 150% bill of material into different configurations. And so this one here has got a certain rear spoiler, and if we were to navigate to the next slide, you can see that that rear spoiler option changed. So being able to present your information in such a way that is easily consumable to your downstream teams and to your supply chain and customers in a very powerful way. Well, just real quickly here, I'll give an example of how interactive this can be in getting that digital twin out. Let's say, for example, we want to understand some rear spring issues in here. Vertex is able to bring in all of the metadata properties that are associated with that. And if I just simply type in this here, I'm going to pull that up and I'm going to search for a rod assembly. And it's going to pull that up. I'm going to throw that filter on. Now I've got that part. Now since I don't know visually where that part is here, I'm just going to select it and do a show only selected. That's going to bring that part now into view here, as you can see on my screen. Now I want to start building in some context. So let's say, for example, I just want to put a quick cross section on that. I'm going to add a section to a part here, flip that around so I can see it. Now I want to bring in some parts that are around it so I can start telling my story with this digital twin representation here. So I'm going to do a show only nearby. I want everything within 5 millimeters, and I'm going to apply that to that. Now that's going to start building in the components that are around it. And so say, for example, now I know that there's perhaps an issue here with a dimension in here. I'm going to come in and just snap a dimension along that. I want to come in and pop in a comment as well with that dimension to say needs to be addressed. And I'm going to add that pin to it. Now when you see when I created that comment, now I've got that snapshot that's created over on the left-hand side. I can quickly take multiple snapshots here, as you can see, and just very quickly put them in a story. So if I just want to quickly grab a couple, click create a new story, then I'm able now to come into this spot. And this is where really the value of being able to get the digital twin out to other parts of your organization comes into play. I can name my story whatever it needs to be, spring issues, and then from a security standpoint, I can come in and lace in whatever security controls I want relaxed. We build in security controls as a default. And for example, if I want to enable my collaborators to perform measurement on here and cross-sectioning on this slide and nothing else, and perhaps this one, I don't want them to do anything on that. I just want them to have a visual representation on that. Perhaps I'll come back in and add the ability to export that. So now what I've done essentially for this snapshot only is I've enabled my collaborators to be able to come in and export out this geometry into their system, perform the needed changes, and upload perhaps back in here as a comment. You can come in and you can attach designs, docs, whatever they might be into this story. So when we think about the digital twin, this is a very easy way for organizations to adopt digital mindset, digital transformation, and being able to get that digital twin out of engineering downstream to other groups and organizations. Real quickly, as we talked a little bit more about the manufacturing side of things, when we think about connecting your information, your 3D product data to your MES system, your performance data, your IoT sensor data, many times we see companies struggle to really adequately bring together the high fidelity 3D visualization, tie it to their data, and being able to see what the data is doing from a visual standpoint and being able to react. And so a key piece to as I mentioned to earlier, that Vertex provides is the ability to provide powerful 3D visualizations. You can think of us as sort of the visualization engine for all of your data within your organization. And so this one here, we've tied in this wind turbine here, again, being able to fully interact with it, and it has been linked to the sensor data. And so as you're stepping through the data here, you can see the impacts, some of the warning signals that are perhaps coming up as you step through their individual timestamps here, indicating that at this point in time, due to some speeds and the temperatures, your motor and your gearing could fail out if this continues. Also being able to tie that directly to various chart data as you step through that. as well as being able to generate fault codes. For example, if something on this data is starting to alarm out, then being able to quickly see, a sort of this bearing end of life warning pop up. And then if I were to go through to that, I would be able to see, as we step through this various time stuff here, that is being captured in that. Another way we can see digital twins being tied to factory floors is perhaps in workstation efficiency. So again, being able to bring up an entire factory layout in a very easy manner. And again, I'm just running this off of a basic laptop. This image is being streamed down to my device, requiring no heavy lifting on my device at all, since nothing is being cached down. And so to here, being able to, again, see the impacts of sensor data as it's happening in real time. And if I were to step through here, you can see we've got perhaps different color codes starting to come up here, indicating some inefficiencies perhaps in that workstation that could be addressed in such a way. And so just a brief overview again here of the powerful ways that Vertex is able to connect your visual data with your context. And so Alan, I know both you and I, as we were kind of thinking of a way to summarize this, thought that it would be good to just kind of hit on some very basic value statements here based off of what we've seen in this space. I know when we think about digital twin deployment, certainly, as I alluded to earlier, it can be overwhelming. And the data would indicate that as well. And we see that traditional digital twin deployment costs can oftentimes more than double just your initial investment to get your foot in the door, as well as the expected implementation time. And so if I would have one encouragement to our listening audience today is to look for those solutions that drastically reduce time to value, drastically reduce the implementation, reduce the hidden costs, so to speak, and being able to get that digital twin out and effective in such a way. And Alan, I know you've got some stats here from Gartner.
Yeah, and I chuckled every time you mentioned design reviews and engineering design and the communication between supply chain and material flow and containerization and the manufacturing organization, and just the hours that I've spent and my teams have spent collaborating. Is I always have to like just laugh because Vertex has really found a solution to that. So when it comes to some of the statistics, this is happening, and I think that's the second bullet point there. And 10% improvement in effectiveness, I would say that's probably low, but overall aggregate and just some of the value we've seen with our clients adopting digital twins on the shop floor is just extreme efficiencies are gained when you can have those insights and make those shifts. And the last one's really, it is about boosting the efficiency between the shop floor and the top floor. We talk about it with Live Factory, we talk about it with our common operational picture. The bottom line is that the connected solutions, 30% efficiency gain in product planning and reduced subassembly WIP, like that's a real number that was provided to McKinsey through one of their case studies with their clients. But those things are replicated across the board with what we've seen thus far with the digital twin. So
great. I think at this time, Rachel, if we've had any questions come in, we can address those now.
Absolutely. Thank you, John and Alan, both. We've got a couple questions in. As a reminder, please send us in your questions through the question box. To kick us off, we had one come in. What workflow have you seen the highest ROI with digital twin?
Yeah, I can take a stab at answering that first, and then Alan, I'll be curious to know what you've seen as well. We've seen drastic improvements when it comes to just the workflow in data prep and data administration. I can recall many times in my former roles at previous companies having to spend upwards of 3 to 4 hours perhaps when it came time to getting information out to a supplier, getting information out to a potential customer, and just bugging engineering for the 3D model, then being able to open it on my device, navigating through it, putting together that ask or that issue picture, and then sending it out. It took a lot of time and was frustrating at times. And so when we think about a standpoint of being able to positively impact workflows, being able to put together information to get to customers, supply chain, other departments is where we've seen, upwards of 20% time savings when it comes to that.
Yeah, that's a good point. I'll take you kind of maybe to the shop floor. I alluded to it, but with real-time location tracking services through our Illuminate is really, you think about the hustle and bustle of moving materials to and from and goods receipt to the line. The digital twin of the factory, being able to physically see what's going on your device. Not only can you enable anybody in the organization, whether they're in material flow or not, to see where fork trucks are, where material is, that is one of the largest improvements in terms of workflow that we've seen thus far is with our Illuminate UWB Bluetooth technology. And I don't know if anybody on the calls ever spent time chasing material around the factory floor and just the energy and effort that it takes to do that. But just imagine, like you would do on your smart device, punching in a part number and having a map illuminate of where everything is physically at. And, then the radio call is pretty simple to the fork truck driver, go to column X and should be within 6 feet of that. And,
right.
In terms of workflow on our end, in terms of the digital twin of the process and plant, that is where we've seen some of the most efficiency gain with our clients.
Wonderful. Following along with that, what are you seeing as the most impactful metric to understand tangible ROI?
You want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. I would say one of the most impactful metrics that we track is really time. Everyone's time is short right now. Everyone's at 110% capacity. There's multiple irons in the fire, and being able to drastically reduce someone's time and being able to either quickly diagnose an issue out on the floor, or being able to connect with a customer, being able to get a response back in a quick manner. Time is money, and certainly that everyone's looking for ways to cut down on their time involvement.
Yeah, and there's a reason I wanted to show the DRCM video, the Digital Reliability Center maintenance, and not only time, because you're taking what would have been extensive PM programs and lists of your manufacturing employees' time, but when you think about being able to predict what's going to fail, some of your most critical components, you look at manufacturing operations and you look at their service components and the inventory levels that are carried, not only to service the equipment inside the factory, but even on the customer service side. If you have a digital twin, you can help predict what needs to be where, when. As a supply chain guy, inventory reduction and asset reduction is key to my ROI metrics, and being able to move from a fix-as-fail environment allows you to reduce your inventory across the entire supply chain to support those failures. And so not only the maintenance time to improve with PM, but also inside your operations with the inventory level reduction is one of the large components to what we've seen in terms of ROI with the use of some of the digital twins.
Great. This next question I think is going to be a little bit specific to John. We had somebody asking about certifications in Vertex, specifically for highly restricted data.
Yeah, no, that's a great question, and certainly we continue to hear that security is of utmost importance, particularly in this day that we live in, where companies are attempting to gain competitive advantages. We offer a wider variety of certifications using our platform, one of them being a SOC 2 Type 2 certification. We're also Privacy Shield certified with our information as well as obviously just flat out being obviously GDPR compliant. But being able to provide a platform which all of your data is encrypted both in transit and at rest is another key component to that as well. So it's security is definitely top of mind. Our founders previously started a company where they dealt with highly sensitive financial information with publicly traded companies, and so that same mindset of keeping that information held in a very secure manner is a part of our DNA with manufacturing and product information as well.
Great. Couple questions here about challenges to watch out for with adopting or implementing digital twins.
Alan, you want to take that one?
Yeah, I laughed at the earlier one. I think it wouldn't be a complete webinar about products if security wasn't brought up. So yeah. Some of the challenges, I think we touched on it, but you know, it's not unattainable. And I think some of the challenges may be around this thought that it has to be extremely complex. And I'm not here just to, you know, push something, but also bring light to the fact that, you know, this is happening inside the industry, and it is a competitive advantage. So I think some of that risk is waiting. I think some of that risk is thinking that these things are unattainable, or they're too broad and too complex to implement. But they're simple solutions that can provide real value. So I'll give it over to John to any other insights around what the challenges may be.
Yeah, you know, one of the things we alluded to, you know, is just I think a mindset behavior, right? It's this mindset that digital twin is complex, that it can only be used to monitor performance of complex products and machinery, when in fact, you know, the digital twin has so many practical, simple ways of impacting an organization. And I think that's probably the first and foremost biggest challenge, is just coming to that understanding that it doesn't have to be this big, cumbersome project that you overtake. And really the first step is just freeing that information off of heavy computing devices, GPUs, heavy software licensing packaging, and really freeing that data to your organization. I think once that is overcome, then the digital twin becomes much more prolific within an organization and can be tied to data to help make contextual real-time decisions.
Cool. We've got another one here asking about a typical timeline around implementing digital twin components into production.
Yeah, I can go ahead with that one, John, if it's all right. I'll just kick us off. But, you know, it all depends on what you're trying to do. It depends on the product or the problem that you've identified that you're trying to solve. At C5MI, we actually like to come in and scope out the entire project, but then look at it and take a bite-sized chunk. So one of the things that we've been successful at doing is not only creating pilots, but taking a 90-day project at a lower cost and ensuring our clients are realizing the value of that. And we've implemented a few of our digital twin products and been extremely successful in taking that smaller chunk and really providing the value to the client. So maybe it's not the entire factory, maybe it's a subcomponent process, maybe it's, you know, one wing of a critical area that needs to be, you know, for instance, we didn't bite off the whole factory with a digital reliability center maintenance project. We took the paint system, and, you know, we're not trying to do the entire factory, but let's provide some value to the biggest kind of constraint bottleneck that you have inside of your factory. I'm recalling back when we did one of our Illuminate projects, and we chunked out just a section of the factory that was having the most downtime in terms of production. And it was really around where the product visibility was. So you took all these subcells, and so instead of biting it off all at once, and the timeline around that, which could be, anywhere from 6 to 12 months, or, it could be over a year, depending on what you're trying to do for your entire factory. But one of the things we've kind of prided ourselves on is that the ability to take some small chunks and steps to prove out the capabilities, not only to the team that wants it, but to the leadership team and the team that has the money to back it for the entire factory. So hopefully that provides some level of insight to the individual that asked that question.
Yeah, and to just add to that a little bit, Alan, that's fantastic. I think the first step is proving the value and finding the quickest way to do that. I've seen implementation times take anywhere from 3 months all the way up to 24 months, 2 years to effectively roll out a digital twin. And when I think about timelines, certainly the ability to be able to cut out any of the hardware, any of the heavy licensing rollouts certainly has to come to play when it comes to a digital twin rollout. And so I would encourage our audience to look for those solutions that perhaps are cloud native, that can be relatively easily deployed with no software downloads, no hardware requirements, no heavy licensing packaging to work through. Just some of those basic sort of check the box evaluation type of things can drastically reduce a digital twin deployment effort.
Yeah, that's a great point, John.
Wonderful. Well, it looks like that's all of the questions that we have for today. So John, Allen, we have a couple minutes left if you had any closing thoughts. Otherwise, we can go ahead and close out.
I'll just say thank you again for allowing me to join you guys. And I just think it's incredible what you've taken as a real challenge and brought it into context. Just years of design reviews and collaboration with engineering from the supply chain and manufacturing side. And I still get a little excited when I see the software and the practical application, with tablets or smartphones or whatever device I have. And so thanks for the invitation, and thanks for allowing me to participate.
Yeah, absolutely, Alan. Thank you, and thanks to C5MI for also partnering with us on this. And I believe our companies are of like mind in the fact that there's so much value to be added to an organization with the digital twin, with a digital transformation mindset. And we hope you've found value in this discussion today and practically thinking of ways to do that. So thank you.
All right. Well, thank you again to all of our attendees who joined us today. We will be sending out a digital version of this recording, so please feel free to check this out at a later time, and have a wonderful rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thanks, Rachel.